We're gonna be fine. Listen,
I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm kind of retarded.
Alright, so in case you clicked on the video by looking at the thumbnail and not the title, this video is mainly about criticizing Griffin Gaming for his position on microtransaction. Specifically microtransaction on the new, recently released and controversial game Dragon's Ligma 2. Wait, is it called Dogma? It's called Dogma, not Ligma. Dragon's Dogma, more like Dragon dog shit, because this game is fucking dog shit. For the people who doesn't know what Dragon's Dogma 2 is, it's an action RPG, but it's also an optimized pile of shit cash grab. Many players got performance issues on the game, and when the game has microtransaction, it's no wonder why it has performance issues. Now, you guys have been around my channel for long enough to know my stance about microtransaction, but for the new folks who don't know, I can't stand that fucking cancer AIDS. I believe it is unacceptable to have microtransaction in any game, even if the games are free, but it's obviously worse when it's a game that is full priced, like a $60 game. Another thing that I find unacceptable is another trend, which is that games are starting to become $70 instead of $60, and that is something Dragon's Dogma 2 is doing as well. The microtransaction is bad enough as it is, but on top of that, $70 price tag? Really? What an absolute ripoff. I'm not so surprised by this because this is Capcom after all, but what did surprise me is how many people were defending this garbage. I made YouTube comments sharing my frustration with people defending microtransaction with the same bad arguments you hear from Redditors and YouTube Redditors, aka Shills, who want to rationalize developer and publisher greed when it's not something that should be considered acceptable. The amount of people defending Capcom just made me lose more and more faith in humanity. This made me wonder though, has there been a big YouTube channel out there that had this same brain rot position that these Shills have? It didn't take me long until I found out there was someone like that who did just that, and it's none other than Griffin Gaming himself. Who is Griffin, you may ask? Not to be confused for an anime character in Berserk called that. It's a gaming commentary channel that spews out opinions that can be summed up to a coin flip in terms of if it's going to be a good one or a bad one. One of his worst ones was when he was fanboying for Call of Duty Vanguard, which got to the point where it made the PNG tuber community look more rational with their opinions and criticism towards Griffin. Speaking of which, as a quick spoiler, Griffin will start to use the same shill arguments that these PNG tubers used to defend microtransaction. I'm gonna be making a response to this livestream video on Asmongold, not because I watch Asmongold, nor like Asmongold. Asmongold is equally as ignorant and lacking in intelligence as Griffin, though he makes far better points here. The reason I choose this over his entire sarcastic video on him defending Dragon's Dogma 2 and Capcom is because it's dragged on for a bit too long, including his obnoxious sarcasm. Before I spoil you guys any further, let's fucking do this shit.
Release these things into the game on release without really telling anybody. That's kind of just a little bit of a surprise, you know, hey, suck a dick, right? And so that's exactly what these cosmetic transactions do. They suck a dick.
They did tell everybody that they were going to be in the game.
This is what Griffin is referring to.
Conspiracy runs even deeper because a YouTuber with an actual ounce of credibility and actual integrity came out and said, yes, they were extremely upfront about the fact that there would be paid DLC. I looked at it, saw it's a bunch of shit I'm going to earn in-game anyway, and never gave it a second thought. Anyone saying it was sneaky is lying for clicks. And in this, he shows a screenshot of the material that reviewers received who got a review code for Dragon's Dogma 2 from Capcom that says, before playing, please read the web guide and FAQ linked here, as well as the media review guidelines here and paid DLC guide available for download.
This paragraph about DLC coming over to the game has zero mentioning of the word microtransaction, was the word paid DLC, which are not the same thing. I repeat, not the same thing. Microtransaction are way low effort content than that of DLC. Sort of like a mini DLC, but it's not a DLC. Capcom intentionally downplayed it by calling it DLC instead of microtransaction, and desperate Capcom fanboys, like you, are desperately trying to let this slide under the fucking rug.
You obviously know the fact that the game is a full price box game, and it's also not receiving, as far as I know, any sort of after-the-fact content support. Like, they're not adding anything new, they haven't announced anything like that. This is going to be like an ongoing live service game. You are basically buying the game, a single-player game, and now you don't have to, excuse me. Now you can spend money in order to make certain things in the game easier. Now, I think this is terrible. This is bad, and again, people that are trying to make it out like it's not bad are, I think, trying to justify the fact that around $70 for a game that shouldn't have microtransactions but actually does. So here's the fact. You don't need to buy these microtransactions in the game. They will probably not change your experience all that much, and they don't have any real tangible impact on the gameplay, and this is coming from somebody who's played.
So who cares? They don't have any tangible effect on the game. Done. Thank you. Alright, drama over. They don't have a tangible effect on the gameplay. End the fucking video. Nobody cares.
This is so childish of you, dog. You acting like there can't be any more nuance or any more depth to this, when there clearly are, shows how willfully ignorant you are. Even more willfully ignorant of you that you're defending this game that costs $70 and has microtransaction in it. Oh, by the way, the mixed response on the Steam store page does show that a good chunk of players waiting for the game do care, so you're wrong once again.
Like, this is literally just Reddit rage of people that are like, I don't like it, so it shouldn't exist. Like, that's literally the mentality of these fucking retards that are so fucking ass blasted about this shit. They'll literally say it doesn't actually affect the gameplay, you don't need to buy them. Just their mere existence sends these fucking Redditors into like a fucking rage fit. It's fucking pitiful, dude. Like, get a fucking life. I don't get it, man. It's so fucking sad. They like literally think that they are the arbiters of what should or shouldn't fucking exist by their own holier-than-thou standards.
I don't understand how Griffin can imply that the people that are attacking microtransaction are the Redditors when it's the complete polar opposite. The PNG Tuber gaming community channels were saying that it's the Redditors who were anti-microtransaction, but that's not the case at all. In the majority of the subreddits that I've seen, both small and large subreddits, I see people always defend games with microtransaction, and it's almost always the popular opinion to have. So this whole, oh, it's the Redditors again, it's just pure projection from people like Griffin Gaming, Brother Nair, and other gaming commentary channel goons. However, I rarely visit the website because it's awful, and I'm not a Redditor, so maybe I haven't seen most of the places where people go to see people protest against microtransaction, but I would like to see some examples. I also call them goons because the moment microtransaction is brought up, they start beating their dick to those corporations non-stop to the point where they get erectile dysfunction.
But what cheating does in games like that is it ruins the integrity of the game, and it puts everything in the game as a potential...
Yet you have no problem with modding. I guarantee you Asmongold has zero issues with modding. What the fuck is the difference of buying a microtransaction item versus putting the same exact item in the game through a mod? It's only a price tag. Holy shit, man. There's no fucking difference. I guarantee you this dude doesn't have a fucking problem with modding at all.
Take a guess. Take a fucking guess. It's not hard to grasp this. Modding is done as a passion/hobby, and it's done for free, generally speaking at least, while microtransaction is done for the sole purpose of making money by putting a price tag. It's not that it's just a price tag, Griffin. It's thousands of fucking price tags for each single item. On top of that, you can blow up the game like crazy when they milk this shit out to no end on a single fucking game.
Well, how do you sell a product that is a convenience feature? Well, you create an inconvenience, and so that is the problem. Because if you look at this logically,
they didn't create an inconvenience.
Come on, dude. If you're gonna lie, at least come up with a better lie. It absolutely is, without a doubt, creating an inconvenience so you can pay up for a convenience. You're just desperate to defend Capcom. You're paying for a convenience, in this case, solely because the devs made it an inconvenience in the first place. Griffin is like a breathing, walking version of the leave my multi-million company alone meme. This is such a disappointment. You call out console fanboys for behaving like fanboys, and it's a good thing that those people get called out, don't get me wrong, but you're really no different yourself for the corporations you're defending.
Moving around in the world. Also, I know that some people are taking the quote that the game director said about how fast travel is bad, and then using that as him trying to, like, talk out of both sides of his mouth, and just like, oh yeah, well he's only saying that because he knew they're going to sell them. I bet he doesn't want to sell them microtransactions either. I bet he thinks it's dog shit too. It's just that, you know, a publisher, big company like Capcom is like that. I don't really think that there's any real relation there. It's just
Dude, but this is the thing, is like, would you rather Capcom put in microtransactions that have zero effect on the game experience overall? Or would you rather them force a bunch of shit in there that actually does? I think this is a happy medium. They as a company probably have to put them in. They put them in an extremely non-predatory and fair manner.
Absolutely fucking not, Griffin. When a game costs $70, they don't have to put it in. Look at older games. Hell, fuck it. Look at the more newer AAA games that are similar to Dragon's Dogma 2. Games like Elden's Ring, Baldur's Gate 3, and all the Dark Souls, excluding the remasters. Now, if I had to choose between paid cosmetics that affect gameplay or not, I would of course have to go for the lesser evil, which is one that doesn't affect gameplay, but none of these options are good.
Like, I don't know, man. I wish Redditors didn't fucking exist.
I can get behind that. Redditors are fucking pathetic. Even more so, the Reddit moderators on the site.
Like, dude, if they were adding shit where it's like, oh, you can get 2 exclusive vocations if you pay $10. Oh, you can get the best weapon in the game if you spend $5. Oh, you can fast travel to any discovered point on the map for $20. Then I would say you have a point. That would dramatically change the experience if you spent money. And they would literally be forcing you to have a shitty experience unless you pay. That I could agree with, but the way they have these set up is fucking harmless as shit.
Sure, the game's not pay to win, but it's definitely pay to progress with how they handle fast travel, and that's still shitty. Pay to progress is just pay to win's lesser evil sibling, you know what I mean?
They're not really bad. It's almost like they're basically shooting themselves in the foot for no fucking reason. Like, why are you doing this? I don't understand why. I think
They probably have to because their management orders them to. The end devs don't fucking want this shit, but the fucking corporate leadership is like, hey, we can make an extra 6% margin from putting these microtransactions in the game. So if the game sells $1 billion worth, that's an extra 60 million bucks for doing nothing. Why the fuck wouldn't you collect money for doing nothing? Duh. Like, dude, that's like asking, if you run a business, why would you not make money for doing nothing? It's like so stupid. Like, Asmongold, why do you have fucking stream donations on? Why do you have fucking memberships on your channel? Because you're making money for doing nothing. It costs you nothing to offer people the option to send you a super chat. It costs you nothing to have people become like a fucking Twitch sub or whatever. It's free money. Why the hell would a company turn that shit down? But the nice thing is, just like a super chat or just like a Twitch sub, neither one of them has a direct impact on your enjoyment of the product that you offer. You can watch your videos and live streams without spending money on them. Just like you can play Dragon's Dogma 2 just as it was intended to without spending money on the microtransactions. But if you want to, you can, and all it does is just gives the developers a little bit of extra money for literally nothing, basically.
Why wouldn't you, you ask? Perhaps just maybe. Just maybe. Because morally speaking, it's unethical and it's gonna ruin your reputation as a company. The PR is not gonna look good on the company. I mean, we're already seeing the effects of that now with the reviews of the game, showing that the game's review score is mixed, which makes Griffin cope and seethe. The man is fuming so much right now. Donation and super chat is not anti-consumer, so that's a false equivalency fallacy. Microtransaction, unlike super chat and donation, can blow up the game and are designed around the game, so it does affect your enjoyment of the product. Well, maybe not you personally, because you're shilling for Capcom, but for many people who are frustrated with this level of greed, it does affect their enjoyment.
You're kind of dumb if you buy them.
You bought them, so that's some irony. Oh, the irony.
if you want to play the game and you don't care that it has microtransactions, that's totally fine. But that does not invalidate everybody else's concerns. And I think that the concerns that
Yes, it does. I don't give a fuck about anyone else's concerns about a fucking video game, bro. If people are actually concerned about the future of the gaming industry, I hope the fucking gaming industry crashes and burns, just to spite those fuckers. Get a fucking life. I do not have to validate their retardation.
Alright, so let me get this straight. All the preaching you did about how Sweet BB Inc. is ruining the gaming industry is just all fake outrage then. You don't really care about Sweet Baby Inc., the game company that tries to make many AAA titles as woke as possible to ruin the gaming industry. Let me guess, you only do the preaching because you know it will get you views and money and that's it. if you couldn't have gone any lower, but hey, it's a good thing you went mask off now instead of much later into your future career, I suppose. I'm starting to understand now why people call you a grifter now. Although I do hope for a second video game crash, it's not for the same reason Griffin wants it to happen. I hope it happens. Once it crashes, it can be rebuilt to a much better state than it was previously at. If you ask me, I think the second video game crash is going to happen because of woke and greed in the gaming industry.
I do not have to validate their retardation.
Asmongold was saying people like you don't have to invalidate people's experience of this game. He wasn't saying you had to validate it. You can also stay neutral and not say a word, but you have such a love boner for Capcom that you can't keep Capcom's dick out of your filthy mouth. Also, the only retardation is how you're desperately trying to defend Capcom, like Capcom was your crush or something. Like, dog, Capcom is not gonna fuck you, alright? Settle down, would you?
But the problem here comes whenever other people get mad and try to tell you what to do with your money. This didn't work with Hogwarts Legacy. You will not bring anybody over to
Yeah,
your side by
exactly.
forcing people who are
Thank you. No fucking Redditor is ever gonna convince me that my immoral purchase of a game with microtransactions should not, like, do you just, like, I don't know, bro. Like, do these fucking retards hear themselves? It's immoral to purchase a game with microtransactions. I don't fucking...
This sounds like a straw man, but I can't tell for certain because he doesn't show a fucking screenshot of the specific conversation he's talking about. Majority of the people who are anti-microtransaction doesn't tell you that you can't nor are allowed to buy microtransaction because it's not moral. They usually state that it's not moral and that you should stop defending it. It's the defending part that they have an issue with. Can't speak for all of them, but that's usually the case.
And whenever I hear someone talk like that, it makes me want to buy the game even more. It really does.
If you purchase things to spite people, then you're starting to give me the impression that you regret the purchases you made and are trying to rationalize those purchases by defending it. Like a never-ending cycle.
I have bought video games just to fucking spite people, or I've spent money on stuff just to spite people, because I fucking can't stand people who act like any of this shit actually fucking matters. It's a video game. Get a fucking life. You are not fighting for the moral soul of civilization against fucking microtransactions. You are fighting a losing battle that the market has already fucking deemed as acceptable, other than on fucking Reddit, and you fucking retards are just literally out here wasting your fucking time and effort. I would say life, but they don't have one, so yeah, it's just pitiful, man.
Replace the word greed with the word woke, and this is the exact same thing you're doing that you claim they're doing. And keep in mind, there's nothing wrong with standing up to the plagues of the gaming industry, but clearly you think it is, Griffin. Holy shit, do you have any self-awareness? This guy is so butthurt that his overused, unoriginal Reddit arguments in favor of corporations' greed got debunked so many times. He starts resorting to multiple ad hominem attacks to cope with his loss. For the claim that the market has already deemed this acceptable, I would love to see him make this claim for Fallout 76 and Star Wars Battlefront 2.
Yeah, wasn't Asmongold a fucking World of Warcraft streamer? Like, that literally is the game that birthed microtransactions. Whenever motherfuckers like this talk about microtransactions, I just have to laugh, because most of these guys blew up playing games that literally basically birthed the idea of continued monetization. You know, World of Warcraft charged full price for the game, full price for add-ons, and then a, what, $15 a month subscription fee, and then you could buy shit in-game with real money. Like, the MMO model is literally what microtransactions are based on. MMOs are the things that birth the modern microtransaction industry, so it's pretty funny.
World of Warcraft was one of the first games to introduce microtransaction, but it didn't give birth to it. I'm not gonna go harsh on Griffin here for getting this wrong, because I used to think Maple's Story was the first game to introduce microtransaction for a while, a game that's older than World of Warcraft and Oblivion. I was wrong about Maple's Store being the first game to introduce it, and I thought it was for a long time. The oldest game I can find that had microtransaction goes all the way back to 1990 in an arcade machine called Double Dragon Tree. In that game, you could obtain items through inserting coins into the slot machine. Though back then, I don't think there was a word called microtransaction that existed. So some people are debating whether or not it's microtransaction. Trust me when I say this though, it definitely is microtransaction, as it fits perfectly into today's dictionary of microtransaction.
Dragon's Dogma 2, great game, dog shit monetization, shitty, shitty features that you have an extra save.
How is it dog shit monetization? This is literally one of the least intrusive monetization options I've ever seen in a video game. How is it shitty monetization? Do you need to spend money on it? No, it's not shitty monetization.
Of course he starts molding the moment Asmongold says that the monetization is dog shit. Which it is, by the way, it is dog shit. If Griffin is serious about the statement that he made, that this is the least intrusive monetization he has seen in a video game, then he haven't really played a lot of video games, nor researched much at all about video games. I don't think you can call people willfully ignorant when you're literally that.
But this is what's wrong with these fucking dipshits, bro. It's like, it's literally an all or nothing mentality. You will never get anywhere in life with that shit. You have to compromise on some level. Companies are never going to get rid of microtransactions. They are literally a license to print money. What fucking company in their right mind would turn down free money? No matter how few people buy it, it's still free money. Like, it's idiotic. Like, you're expecting something to act like something it's not.
The all or nothing mentality isn't unreasonable here. The mentality can be reasonable or unreasonable depending on the topic and what specifically is being discussed about. But in this case of microtransaction, giving developers and publishers a slight inch will make them take a mile. What I mean by this is that it becomes a slippery slope. This isn't something that I'm making up. Just look at how intrusive microtransaction has gotten over the years in games. It's gotten to the point where EU started to crack down on its regulations, like what happened to loot boxes. You can't compromise with irrational CEOs. What you have to do instead is to get them to regulate what they can and can't do, like with the loot boxes, as well as any loopholes they try to pull up to circumvent around it. It will take some time before the legal system takes action, however. So in the meantime, we just gotta boycott it instead and call out the bad actors who tries to justify this shit.
Video games are not fucking charity organizations, people. They're here for one reason and one reason only. It's not to entertain you. It's not for you to have a good time. It's not to tell a, insightful and exciting story. It is here to make money. That is it. Literally it, bro. No other fucking reason under the sun do video games exist for. They are simply here to extract money from your pocket.
He's essentially making the same Reddit argument that goes something like this. You just want everything for free! And the company gotta earn money somehow. Games are already making money for the game's price tag and normal DLC. Like, what else do you fucking want? Out of all the people who goes against this greed, I've not seen a single one of them treat it like a charity organization.
Now, the means by which they go about doing that varies, of course, but the way that Dragon's Dogma 2 does it, where you literally can just buy the game and play it as intended without spending any additional money, is not an egregious example of fucking anything.
In what way they go about making money varies, yes. I'm baffled that you can agree with that, but then still double down on this. Just please do us all a favor and stop talking.
Dude, gaming could disappear tomorrow, and I don't fucking care. Gaming is not that serious, guys.
Yeah, you pretend to care when it's about Sweet Baby Inc. ruining the game industry, but it's all fake outrage in the end for views and money. You don't actually have any principles, you're just fake as fuck. I expected nothing less from a paid Capcom shell. Speaking of Shills making awful arguments, there's one more argument I would like to debunk before I end this video. And it's not one that Griffin has made. In response to the just don't buy it fallacy that's commonly used by people on Reddit and Griffin, this is straight up a dishonest argument, and I've seen it way too many times over the years now. It's dishonest because 1, it assumes the person who is criticizing it bought it and continues to buy those items, when these types of critics are not whales. And 2, it suggests that you can't really look at it in any sort of depth, as if we're just supposed to ignore microtransaction in any games that has it, and then it's magically not a problem anymore. You can't ignore it because in many cases, if they exist, the game is designed around them And all of a sudden, it's not about passion and fun anymore. It's instead about design decision, just for the sake of getting more players to flock to their online in-game store. You are paying for convenience when it's the developers that have made an unnecessary inconvenience happen in the first place. You could make the argument all you want that it isn't the case for Dragon's Dogma 2, but you have yet to prove this. Because from what I'm seeing with the whole fast travel situation, its design may not be pay to win, but it is pay to progress by definition. Though games that have pay to progress will make speedrun competitions pay to win if the speedrun competitions doesn't ban the pay to progress items, since winning in speedrun is all about being the fastest in the progression, like a race. To wrap it up, Griffin has no integrity and will shill for Capcom even if it hurts his own credibility. If you liked this video, make sure to like, and if you disliked, hit dislike. Leave any suggestions for a new video topic for future videos in the comment section, as well as criticism of your own towards Griffin or me. If you want more commentary videos, make sure to subscribe if you haven't already. I am out.